Spirit Empowered Church and Acts 2 ministry model. So, first we need to cast a vision. And this needs to be from God. Okay, so without a vision, people will perish. But when setting a vision and mission, the lead pastor should consult with other people within the church. So this should just not be something that the pastor does alone in a silo. Okay. Um, this will take a while. So this is something that needs to be worked through with different members within the church, people on some of the trustee boards, deacon boards, some of the people that lead different ministries. After getting the mission and vision, anything the church does should align with that. So after you get your mission, everything you do aligns with it, right? So whenever you're wanting to accomplish a task, everything you do is going to align to accomplish that task until you accomplish it, right? So um when you cast that vision, you go toward that direction. It would be silly to say, hey, you know what, we want to go to Atlanta, and I live in up around Waldsboro, about out and a half, which was about an hour and a half west of Charleston, and then start driving to Charleston, right? So everything we do should be going toward the direction of where our vision is. Okay. Value driven culture. Our values drive us no matter what those values are, and no matter whether or not we think about those values. So what we value drives what we do. So we as leaders and within the organization should think about what our values are. And we can that way we can figure out what our values are and make sure that we are driving our people toward those values. Um and then work to ensure that other people within the organization are or using our values to guide them, right? So we as Christians should work to make sure that we are getting people to know Christ and then growing those who are Christians in their walk, okay? And then develop people. Churches that flourish have many volunteers, right? So the more volunteers you have, the easier it is to grow the church, right? So you have more people who not only buy into the vision of the church, but are willing to work toward the goals of that church. It's not only the job of the pastor for the congregation to grow. So there are other people within the church. It's the congregation itself. Um, and it's not only to grow where you get more believers, it's also to grow to where each person in the church is growing. So according to Rick DeBose, those who study the Bible at least 3 times a week, see life change. So those who study God's word see a change in the way their life is going, which makes sense when you think of God's word. Um, it is God's word to man, right? So this is the words that God's spoken to us. So we probably should listen to that, right? This is our authority figure, right? So those of you who have had good fathers like myself, when my father speaks, I tend to listen to his advice, right? And much more so when this person is God. Okay, so fortunately, God has given us this 66 book thing that we call the Bible. And according to Greg Groeschel, if people do on our team do a task 50% as well as us and show that they are willing to put in the work to grow, then we should delegate that task. So what that is saying is, hey, look, there's this task, they do it about as half as well as you. They're willing to continue to work and get better at that task. Hand it off. There, a good way that my pastor explained it the other Sunday in church It would look foolish for him if he tried to preach a sermon, lead in worship, play the drums, go down and pray for people, greet people, take the offering. I mean, if he did all of this, then it looked crazy, right? He would not do any one thing well because he would be caught up in trying to do other things. So we as leaders need to make sure that we're giving tasks off to other people so that not only will we have time to work on the things that God has called us to, but that they will grow in the things that God has called them to. So there's that. Okay. So hopefully that gives a few tidbits to what you should do as a spirit empowered church.